Meet Mimosa. Currently, she is undergoing advanced training in the in-depth aspects of Bharathanatiyam under her guru, Srimati. Sorry, I don't know the name. Guru. Sorry. Guest of honor, Mrs. Joanna Langley Basterfield. Joanna studied music concurrently at London College of Music and Guildhall of Music and Drama with clarinet and piano as a joint first studies. After a year at Middlesex Polytechnic, specializing in peripatetic woodwind instrumental teaching, Jo started to teach as a full-time clarinet teacher at Wickham High School, and then took up the position of specialized bassoon and saxophone teacher at Aylesbury Music Centre. During this time, Jo was able to broaden her love of music, being the conductor of the Central Bank, which led to European concert tours and the chance of conducting in such prestigious venues, such as Royal Albert Hall, Symphony Hall, Birmingham, the Royal Festival Hall, and the Queen Elizabeth Hall. May I please request our guest of honor, Eva Ezolde Balser, to say a few words, please.
Maiurie, Miss Usha, Mr. Ganeshan, Miss Radhika, Peryorgale, Taimargale, Kulandegale, Ane Varukum Vanakam. Let me first of all thank you for the kind invitation to be present here as chief guest. Not being Tamil, I was surprised at first that you give me the opportunity to stand here and share my thoughts and feelings. It's a lovely gift that I accept with excitement. And I interpret your invitation as an interest in a genuine and inclusive dance scene, which I think is a courageous decision by parents and guru, for which I have great respect. It made me think a lot about my role in the field of Bharatanatyam as European Bharatanatyam dancer. I fell in love with Bharatanatyam more than 10 years ago. Even though it forms a huge part of my daily life, I sometimes still feel like a stranger, and I doubt the right I have to practice and spread this art. Your invitation makes me feel welcome indeed. Standing here, I can feel the floor still vibrating from the energy that Maiurie has generated in union with a mind-blowing ensemble. It is the energy of 8 years of hard work, of sweat, of growth, of transformation, and also the energy of love and trust and dedication that incredibly open and thoughtful parents have transmitted to you, in unison with the guru who is capable, genuine, and kind. And you beautifully thanked them with the Varanam Anayai Maravenadi. And just one more word to Miss Usha. Let me just mention that for me, who is a mother of a small child, the way that you support your daughter is a great inspiration. And it was a pleasure to observe, yes. It was a pleasure to observe during the rehearsals how you and Maiurie and Miss Radhika has become like a really strong trio, and the strength has carried this evening. I'm sorry, I'm speaking a bit fast because we are getting out of time, so I hope it's okay. Every artist who has ever worked without a developed form knows how hard it is to deal with the challenge of how to channel the energy of the existing moment in a form that elevates this energy into a refined perception and presence for performer and audience alike. The wonderful gift that Bharatanatyam has given to us is a form developed through millennia and generations to an extent that no individual can perceive alone. It is a gift Maiurie has accepted with seriousness and dignity from her guru, who herself has received the skills from the lineage, the Bani of Tanda Yudapani Pillai, who passed on the knowledge from generations. I wish to emphasize that what we are experiencing here tonight is far greater in time and space than we can even imagine. The art of appreciation and gratefulness is one of the most precious things to learn when we learn classical Indian performing art. And in this juncture, I pay respect to my guru, Srimati Raja Shri Ramesh in Berlin, for the depth in knowledge she has developed in Bharatanatyam and its transmission. In my understanding, learning humility and gratitude is embedded not only in the learning process and the stories we depict, but also in the physical form we embody in the dance itself. Stretching the body in the vertical and horizontal axis also stretches our mind to perceive the world in its width and depth, and teaches us not to live a life with egocentric and petty perspective. It was lovely for me to observe during the rehearsals how Maiurie has integrated those qualities into her personality as a dancer and as a human being. It was no surprise to hear that she started to learn at the age of 5, because both graceful humility and graceful movement seem to have become totally part of her identity. Another important element of dance I want to speak about is one's personal self, to offer one's personal self. That means having the courage to use our own mind, our own perception of the world into the art form. This has been of immense experience to me. Through my guru's teaching approach, I understood that the offering of the personal self is not only part of the learning, but embedded in the physical form of the dance itself. We enter this process, for example, when we train our core breath or the gaze coming from deep within. In my experience, the precise embodiment of the traditional form can lead to Atma Anubhava, the experience of the innermost self, or in Dr. Padma Subramaniam's words, the experience of inner bliss. She defines the dance as the conjoint of the soul with the movement of the body. She further states, the essence of the Karanas, and I say the same for Bharatanatyam here, is that the whole body is meticulously trained only to be forgotten about it. I believe that usually this process starts after the Arangatam, and I'm really happy to see how Maiurie, at her young age, being only 13, is already now in her Arangatam, letting a deep personal pleasure shine through at certain moments. For instance, in the Purvangam of the Varnam, when she plays the mother who decorates the child or who tries to bring the child to sleep, or in the Shilapatikaram item, or when she embodies Bhojambo. At those moments we can see her own being melting into the form. That is very promising indeed. So Maiurie, while bringing together your beautiful self with a form brilliantly developed out of the work of generations, you took and will still take us today through the journey of a margam. Let's pass the path in review. With 3 invocatory items, you prepared the ground well for the shared experience between performer and audience. An unusual decision, but maybe we needed those 20 minutes to arrive here from the outside to the beautiful reality of art. Those 3 items, Pushpanjali, Siddhivinayaka, and Todayamangalam, opened the evening and our minds to a large perspective on Bharatanatyam in space and time, as they were sung in Tamil and Sanskrit, composed between the 15th and the 20th century. And the journey took us far distances, between the Venkata Hills in Andhra Pradesh to Ariyale in the north of Sri Lanka, where I'm sure many of the members of the audience here have roots. You then brought us to Alaripu. The clear geometric lines of the body come for the first time in focus, and through the grace of your arms, head, and legs reaching rhythmically out into space, you relaxed not only your mind, which according to Bala Saraswati is the asset of Alaripu, but also my mind felt softened and landed in the here and now. It is a dance that I feel suits Maiurie very well, enlarging her own kinesphere by reaching out very far with her limbs while keeping a stable center is a quality she very nicely embodies in Alaripu. And from the little I know you, Maiurie, I can already say that you combine both, this physical quality and its mental twin. You reach far out while keeping inner stability. And I think it's so obvious that I don't even need to mention. You went beautifully deep in the Arimandi and Murumandi leg positions and gave us already the anticipation of the high jumps that you will do later in Boshambo. I believe that this speech, I should not only speak about what I can see in Maiurie dance now, but as I consider Bharatanatyam a lifelong learning process. I shall also share my thoughts on what is going to come next in this process. The nice grounding and the precision she already gained now in the geometry of the space will be the perfect ground to explore the refinement of other details like subtleness and amplitude, for example of the atami, to develop the measures that precisely suit her perfectly. In Chatiswaram, I was reminded of the reputation of your guru's lineage, Tandayudapani Pillai's Bani, known for the precision in geometric lines and for ably caring for the use of space. With your perfectly long-stretched arms, the physicality you bring very well suits big stages like this one. Here, and in all the other nritta items, you danced with clear and firm feet and that's remarkable, all the speeds, and with a very good ability to use body weight, active, light, and strong. I have no doubt that with the excellent muscle tone and sense of geometric lines you have, you will soon perfection further nritta details like the relationship between shoulders, chest, and arms that I know all dancers here will know the same, is a lifelong process. With the Shabdam you warmed my heart. I was curious to see how a young lady like you can relate to the errors of Maran, and I was touched to see you in that item. It very well suits the subtle and truthful expression of the young lady that you are. And I did not look for the matured expressions that I, in anticipation, thought I would be looking for. I often asked Yogeswaran after Arangatrams, why do the speakers keep on and on praising the musicians and speak more about them than about the dancer who is doing the Arangatram? It is today the experience of the Varnam that made me think of this and understand better. The artists interweave themselves into the performance, a union carried by musicians and dancer. Maiurie was thus carried by excellent musicians into the heart of the temple, as Bala Saraswati describes the Varnam's place within the Margam. Maiurie related very naturally to the content and found her flow with the long item, which she carried through with very, very good stamina. Her guru, Srimati Radhika, thoughtfully chose and choreographed the item. When a few months ago I read the content of the Varnam, I was first of all puzzled, as I thought that the content reproduced stereotypical ideas about gender roles. Here I refer to the roles of mother and father depicted and the concepts about a good woman. But it was finally the choreographic content that Srimati Radhika had brought in, the story of Murugan and Shiva, in which the son becomes the guru of the father, is respected and listened to, which shed a totally different light on the item. In a conversation with Maiurie, I understood that in her own interpretation, this item is leading us to become better human beings, men and women alike. A stance the young woman is taking credibly, and which is also very much reflected when she's dancing. After the break, Maiurie, you caught us with cute little Krishna in a lovely expansion of the theme of motherhood that you had initiated with the Varnam. Maiurie shared with us her cheeky side, and you made me smile because you transmitted that specific attitude of Krishna so sweetly and freely, bringing the whole stage alive and the auditorium too. From this worldly affair, a path to reach our hearts and minds that is Vishnu's expertise, you brought us to the sphere of Shiva, the undescribable one, beyond everything in Boshambo. Yet another side of you appeared, and I believe that the calm and powerful silence, where you can channel your energy into clear stances, is something very near to you. You finally came back with a catchy folk song Alagedevam, and looking back through the second half of the program, I think it was felt by everyone that you have developed a quality in grasping and sharing the different specific energy and characters of gods and humans alike. And I believe that this is due to the deep teaching of your Guru. I'm sure that she will lead you in the coming years further in the path you started, and we will see your face shining even stronger in different refined emotional qualities. Maiurie, you had a wonderful music ensemble with you, and there is much more to say about their heartful, able, and genuine participation. Your remarkable qualities in grasping the rhythmical aspects of Bharatanatyam of your lyre, and your talent to very quickly integrate changes that came up in the last days of the rehearsals. But I'm sure we will hear more about the musical qualities by the guest of honor, so I will not take up that aspect. And now I will go to third speed talking. Maiurie has made a great step in learning Bharatanatyam and tasting different European art forms. It would be my wish for her to continue her journey by studying continuously Bharatanatyam as a lifelong process and bringing in all her knowledge and life experience from other spheres. The Arangatam is a beginning. It is the entry into the dance field for Maiurie. Therefore, I would like to share with you, the audience, and especially the Bharatanatyam dancers, some general thoughts about the challenges in this field in Europe. I often feel that we, dancers raised in Europe, suffer either from a lack of appreciation of what we can give to the art form as individual inner contribution, or from a lack of appreciation of what the form can give to us if we learn it with sincerity. We look at Chennai or into South Asian past, feeling that there is or was a pure and perfect dance quality we cannot reach. Or we believe that we, with our contemporary European background, know more than the traditionalists and think that we can do whatever we feel like and break the form to become contemporary. Both are traps we carefully should negotiate with. If we compare ourselves to an idea of ancient purity, we do not do justice to the fact that Bharatanatyam or its previous forms has never ever been a static form. It has always been a dance form in transformation, in exchange with different local, regional, international cultures, with the knowledge from ancient books and individual visions for the future. There is no ownership of Bharatanatyam, and I agree with gurus who ask their students to make the dance your own. And I'm aware that this is tricky to say, in front of a history where Devadasis and Nattuvanars have enormously suffered from the reappropriation of the dance by Indian middle and upper class. It is also tricky when I say it, as a European, and thus having inherited